Edward Livingston Trudeau was an American physician, who established the Adirondack Cottage Sanitarium at Saranac Lake for treatment of tuberculosis. Dr. Trudeau also established the Saranac Laboratory for the study of tuberculosis, the first laboratory in the United States dedicated to the study of tuberculosis. He was a public health pioneer who helped to establish principles for disease prevention and control. Named for statesman Edward Livingston, Trudeau was born in New York City to a family of physicians, the son of Cephas, née Burger, and James de Bertie Trudeau, who was descended from Illinois country governor Zenon Trudeau. During his late teens, his older brother James contracted tuberculosis and Edward nursed him until his death 3 months later. At 20, he enrolled in the College of Physicians and Surgeons at Columbia University, then Columbia College, completing his medical training in 1871. 6 months was the noted physician's prognosis. 2/3 of the left lung involved in active tuberculosis process was the diagnosis. Edward Livingston Trudeau, 25 years old and himself a medical doctor, had only felt a little tired and had known he was losing weight when he went for a physical exam that day. A second opinion confirmed the diagnosis, and Dr. Trudeau decided that if he only had 6 months to live, he will make a trip to the Adirondacks to rest and relax in the hunting lodge of a friend. When his doctor warned him that the primitive living conditions would hasten his end, Trudeau answered matter-of-factly, that the end is inevitable. He kissed his family goodbye, and then made his way to remote cabin by train, boat and finally by a horse-drawn wagon over rough roads. He was so weak from fever, coughing fits and fatigue, when he arrived that he could not climb out to the second-floor bedroom. Amazingly, as the days and weeks passed by, Trudeau's fever ended, and his strength returned as he breathed in deeply the mountain's fresh air. With renewed strength, he headed back to New York, but no sooner had he returned home than the fever returned. Again, he bundled his things together and went to spend the winter in the mountains, agreeing with his colleagues that he likely would not live until spring. Yet once again, his strength returned, and he wrote that he indulged in snowballing, reading, painting, telegraphing, playing cards, hunting, fishing through the ice for trout. Trudeau began to question, did tuberculosis need to be a death sentence? Could the tubercular find healing help in clean, fresh air, rest, and careful regimented living? He moved his family to the mountains where they lived for 6 years. In that time, he regained his health, his weight returned to normal, and his only residual impairment was a shortness of breath. Trudeau began to dream of opening a camp and hospital with a laboratory and a medical staff that specialized in treating tuberculosis. He began the first sanatorium before the tubercular with only $3,000 and a gift of 16 acres. He also pursued medical research in a field that many scoffed at, and in 1885, he discovered the tuberculosis bacillus. With that discovery, Trudeau launched a search for a serum that would kill the bacillus without harming the patient. He helped develop such a serum that was particularly effective in the early stages of tuberculosis. As a result of his effort, literally hundreds of thousands of lives were impacted positively, and 386 tuberculosis sanatorium were established nationwide. In spite of Trudeau's efforts, tuberculosis claimed the life of his beloved daughter, and it condemned him personally to years of physical misery and chronic invalidism. Nonetheless, he persevered. In writing his life story, he said, "I have learnt that the conquest of faith is not by struggling against it, not by trying to escape from it, but by acquiescence, that it is often through men that we come to know God. That spiritual courage is of a higher type than physical courage. And that it takes a higher type of courage to fight bravely a losing than a winning fight." He lost 3 of his 4 children. Edward Livingston Trudeau died in Saranac Lake on November 15, 1915. World changers often turn their personal suffering into search for those things that brings benefit to other sufferers. You can be a world changer. Thank you for watching. And don't forget to like and subscribe, also comment if necessary.